En un rincón especial de la ciudad de Austin, Texas, una mujer valiente y apasionada ha estado dejando su huella desde el momento en que llegó a los Estados Unidos en el año 2001. Ella es Salwa Yordi, una inmigrante venezolana de ascendencia del Medio Oriente que trajo consigo sueños y determinación para forjar su camino en un nuevo mundo. A los 15 años, junto con su madre y hermana, Salwa emprendió un viaje de coraje hacia un futuro lleno de promesas, y hoy estamos emocionados de presentarla como la figura destacada en nuestro podcast de mente. Salwa es graduada de la Universidad de Texas en San Antonio, demostrando que la educación es un pilar fundamental en su vida, pero su historia va más allá de las aulas universitarias. Ella es mejor conocida por sus segmentos de entretenimiento en Telemundo Austin y Farándula Texas, donde destacan los eventos culturales y comunitarios más emocionantes de Austin. Salwa es una de las primeras reporteras de entretenimiento que habla español en Austin, rompiendo barreras y abriendo puertas. No solo se enfoca en lo local, sino también cubre eventos nacionales de la industria como los Latin Grammy Awards, People en Español y los Latin Billboards. Su pasión por el entretenimiento y la cultura es evidente en cada paso que da. Hoy en día, Salwa es la directora de comunicaciones en Latinitas, una organización sin fines de lucro dedicada a la educación bilingüe en Austin. Su pasión por el servicio comunitario es insuperable. Salwa Yordi es un faro de esperanza, un puente entre culturas y una inspiración para todos nosotros. Bienvenida, Salwa Yordi.
Salwa, muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad de platicar.
Gracias a ti. I'm so excited to be here talking to you, Mauricio.
Awesome. You know, earlier today, you were talking about the journey from where you were to where you are today, right? How most people just kind of only see the finished product. They don't see the journey.
Yes.
And it occurred to me that the first question I wanted to ask you is, when did you begin to visualize yourself as you are today? Because I remember a few years back reading from an interview of who used to be IBM's founder, that he expressed to the people that were interviewing them that IBM was successful because from day one they were visualizing the company they wanted to be. So at some point, I know you were visualizing yourself to be here. Otherwise, you wouldn't have never made it. So how did that happen?
So it's interesting because my background, I mean, I was born in Venezuela, I have Middle Eastern culture, and I knew since little that I wanted to be a broadcaster. But of course, whenever I would say that perhaps to my mom, all up for it, you know, but my dad is, you know, culture, oh, you have to be a pharmacist or a doctor, an engineer. And I'd be like, no, I like communications. I want to be in front of a camera. So I knew since little that I wanted to do communications. Of course, the transition of moving to the States as a teenager made things perhaps a bit harder because you don't know from where to start. But I know from little within me that my dream was to be in front of a camera and just to grab the mic. How I was going to get there, little did I know that an idea was going to come up out of nowhere called Farándula, Texas, and perhaps my dreams were going to, you know, now it's a reality and I'm here with you, chatting with you. But it's been just a process of taking on chances and at times being afraid and go for it. I mean, opportunities came along the way, and I mean, I can go all the way from how it started to where I'm now. But I'll tell you this, I think we all know, or for some people it happens maybe right away, but I mean, I knew, I mean, at 12 years old, I knew what I wanted. 12 years old. I knew what I wanted. Perhaps the things that I saw within my household. My parents were divorced. There was no stability. But I just kind of knew that grabbing a mic or being in front of a camera made me happy. Until this day, I mean, I juggle a lot of things, but once I'm in front of a camera or grab a mic or I'm here chatting with you, I mean, it actually makes me happy. It's what I'm passionate about. So once you know, you know.
Once you know, you know. Well, one of the things that I find very interesting is that what you said is you didn't know how you were going to get there. You just knew you were going to get there. And obviously that led to certain actions because to be here, you had to acquire certain skills that you weren't born with.
Yes.
The reason I bring that up is because there's a lot of people that they may be looking themselves in the mirror at this moment, right? And thinking, well, I don't possess the skills. And what I've seen as a common denominator in a lot of successful women and men is that that even though they didn't have the skills, they knew they had the ability to learn them. were you ever conscious about that? Like saying, okay, whatever I got to do, it's just about me learning this skill.
Yes, I mean, most definitely. And till this day, Mauricio, I'm the first one to say that, I mean, you have to educate yourself. And if you feel that you don't have the skill, you need to, perhaps go find a mentor or Google how to do it. Nowadays, you can rely on, YouTube or videos on, we have social media. But back in the day, I mean, I knew starting I knew I had this passion to do it in Spanish, but of course in English it's a whole different thing. To be a communicator here in the United States, you have to edit, you need to know how to produce, you need to know how to write a script. It's not just being in front of a camera unless you're in a huge market. So high school for me was difficult. I mean, I didn't know how to speak English. Back in the day, my mind was not going there. I think whenever I was in college and I moved to San Antonio and I had this passion of perhaps doing this job in Spanish, I started surrounding myself who perhaps had the same passion as I did, or I would just find back in the day it was MySpace or Facebook.
Oh, sure.
Or it was more of an interpersonal relationship, writing for the newspaper and go from there. And I remember reaching out here to a local newspaper called El Mundo newspaper out of the blue. It was just like, hey, I have this passion of writing, and I don't know. I tend to be a go-getter. I think the worst someone can tell you is no. So sometimes I jump and I just ask. If they say no. I've been always really persistent, and throughout being persistent, I gained my credibility, and that's through communications. I have this other side of nonprofit that is a whole different world. That how did I get there? And we'll talk about that. But then when it comes to the communication side of it, it was, going to school, at times not even having money to eat, just because whenever you move here as an immigrant, your parents, you're the first one that goes to college. Your parents don't know. My mom didn't know what I needed to go to school. You get in debt, student loans, there's no guidance. All of a sudden you have this freedom to live by yourself. And I made a lot of mistakes all throughout that process. But the beauty of it is just that if I knew that for this type of job, there were a lot of skills that I don't possess. And of course, sometimes they back in the day, it was all about image, right?
Yeah.
Or an accent, or, we don't want this, we want this. Now it's different. Now you can embrace who you are through social media and nobody cares about how you look. But 14 years ago, it wasn't like that. I mean, it was more like, oh, your nose, or you're too this, or you're too that. Now it's a whole different thing, I would say, and which I'm happy about. But a few years ago, it wasn't. So I'm a big believer that you have to educate yourself. If perhaps you don't have the means, there's always someone available that is open to be a mentor and help you. And I'll say this to you, there's a lot of nonprofits that focus in media who are here to empower, women who are interested in those careers. So, yes, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question. I went all around, but...
No, it does. Obviously, you ended with reach out to a mentor.
Reach out to a mentor.
And because sometimes, and it's funny you say that, because earlier I was actually trying to make a video about that messaging. It's like sometimes the blind leading the blind, they're both going to fall in the ditch. So it's okay, reach out for mentorship. You would be amazed how people that are very successful, they are typically givers, and they want to pass on what they've learned, because they have this this mentality of gratitude. So you'd be surprised. I'm sure there's a few people out there that probably won't, but the vast majority I found to be very giving people.
And it's true, it happened to me. I mean, people ask me, how did you make it to Telemundo, and how you were on TV?
Yeah, tell us that story, because I'm sure there's probably mentorship thing in there. And there's
I mean, I try on name it on so many castings, to make it. Because, I mean, I have this passion of music, too. So, I mean, prior to TV, it was all music. And I remember moving to Austin from San Antonio. I couldn't find a job in San Antonio. Of course, communications is a hard career. Sometimes to find a job, you sometimes end up doing different things, right? But it all started with my sister. I wanted to go to a red carpet, a local red carpet. And it was Premios Texas. It was hosted by Univision. And my sister's like, you know, we need to come up with our own thing. And I was like, okay, what's the way? How can we make it? We're like, you know, what about if we create a website? And I was like, okay. And she was like, she came up with the idea. And she's like, we're going to call it Farándula Texas. And that's how you're going to go to the awards. And I'm like, okay. We go to GoDaddy. We create the website. I'm telling you this happened 14 years ago, Mauricio. We created this website. I apply for the media credentials and I get approved. I didn't even own a camera. I remember borrowing a camera from a friend. Fake it till you make it. I wore my dress. I put my hair up, and then I knew every single artist who was going to be at that red carpet. So whenever I was at the press conference, I would ask a question, and I just knew. I knew about the artist. Unlike the other people, they didn't know. So, of course, that day I stood out. Who's this girl? You know, who's this Farándula Texas? Little did people know it was my first red carpet, but I was just trying. I was trying because I really wanted to make it on, you know, on TV. So,
but look what you're saying. I mean, it goes back almost to the beginning. I don't want to take you all the way back to what we started, but it just goes to prove that you became.
Yes.
And I think it's more like, because sometimes there's a very popular saying that fake it till you make it. But I subscribe more to the idea of become it.
I mean, I love that. Yes, become it. I mean, I went to school for it, and at times I always wanted to do broadcasting in Spanish. I just love it. I mean, I'm a talker. I mean, I'm a relationship builder. Like, I love speaking in Spanish, and I mean, I enjoy English too. Sometimes I'm a bit conscious of my accent. It hasn't gone away, but I really wanted to do it in Spanish. So that's how it started. And I was the girl at the clubs taking photos. So that's how I started building my relations. You know, they were like, oh, la farandulera. Oh, she's here by herself. I always would run solo or with my sister. This of bringing others to the party, no, because I always care about my image. It's really important that when it's a brand, nuggets, I protect that image because it's me. It reflects
y te la
my
creías
work.
tú primero,
Sí,
porque si tú no te la crees, nadie más te lo va a creer.
Yo me la creía, o sea, yo me creía mi propio show. You won't believe that 2 years later, I get a message on Facebook. I'll never forget. It was from an anchor on Telemundo. They were like, hey, I'm Carla Leal, and now she works at Spectrum. And Carla was like, hey, they're looking for a reporter here at Telemundo. I think you should try out. You kidding me?
That's wow. Yeah.
So the segments, I made it. I didn't know how to edit videos back in the day. The editor, Medium, she taught me. There you go, mentors. People, exactly. If you ask, they'll teach you. Because in school, I didn't study to edit or anything like that. It was just broadcasting, journalism, writing, all of that.
You were committed first, and you figure it out later.
I figure it out later. Little that I know that now I enjoy editing.
Yeah, that is one of the qualities I see in very successful people, is that they don't wait to read all the books and everything about it. They commit, and then they figure it out along the way.
Yes, right? You have to jump. I mean, at times you want things to be perfect, and they're not perfect.
It's gonna happen.
You know, you're gonna make them perfect along the way. So I just knew that I wanted to make it on TV. If I got paid, I didn't get paid or anything, you know, I really wanted to be on TV.
That's another thing. So you were willing to do it whether you got paid or not. So how was that mindset? It's like, this is my education, I'm going through this.
Yes, I'm going through it, and it made me happy. It fulfilled me. Did I have to do something else on the side? Yes, of course. I was working in a school as a teacher, Mauricio. You know?
So cool. Because they say, you know, what you do sometimes with your full time will pay the bills, but what you do with your spare time, if it can change your life.
Yes, exactly. So I was a teacher, you know, I was in my 22, and I would tell myself, why am I working with kids? But kids give you that love, you know, that they give you that, you know, love and like empowerment, and I was just like, okay. So I was doing those things.
Yeah.
And throughout that journey, I get into the nonprofit world in Austin, Texas. Yeah. And
before we go into that, because we'll jump right into that to wrap it up, we want to hear more about those things that you're doing. But I cannot move forward without first asking, ¿qué ¿Qué es esa gasolina que verdaderamente te mueve? ¿Qué fue lo que alguien te dijo que no la ibas a hacer, que no la ibas a lograr? ¿A quién tienes que probar? La razón real, porque para poder tener esa determinación y esa llama que no se apaga y que te ayuda a sobrellevar todo, tuvo que haber a lo mejor algo. Estoy todavía por...
Sí, no, tienes toda la razón. Mucha gente me dijo que no. So many
y
people.
parte de eso es lo que motiva, ¿no?
Parte de eso es lo que motiva. Cuando alguien te dice que no. And it's so interesting. I posted, oh my God, like 2 days ago, well, a few days ago, a photo, and my quote said something like that when somebody tells you that you can, you know, you actually want to do it more. And that's the fire in me. It was just like, oh, no puedes, porque esto, porque no, pero porque no. O sea, yo sí puedo. O sea, si lo quiero hacer y soy buena. O sea, if I believe in me, of course, you know, I don't know, if I believe in me, I can make others, you know, believe me too. And
well, that's the mental toughness that I want people to take from us. It's like, that is the common denominator. It's been quite a journey for me to learn or reaffirm that it is really about that mental toughness, right?
Yes.
That you need to have to be successful.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. Now, let's talk into everything that you're doing right now. I want to know what you're doing, what the plans are for the future, to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, of course.
You want to begin with Latinitas? You want to begin with,
Yes.
So tell us more.
You know, before I jump into that really quickly, something else was my family. The fact that my parents were divorced, and then my household is just women. It's my mom, my grandma, and my sister, and myself. Like, so we're really close. My dad now is all back in the picture, and I have a good relationship with him. But that journey of being in the United States for 22 years, at times solo, I wanted to do this like for my family. Like, I wanted to do it for my mom. Like, and at times that drove me too, like, just to succeed.
Sure.
And of course, you know, with Farándula and you know, trying to pay the bills and doing everything else, I truly enjoy social work. And I'm a type 2. I was telling you that I'm the caring type. I love helping. I love giving. And I got into nonprofits here in town. I started working with a foundation that it's called Glimmer. And we would actually invest on startup organizations, nonprofits. So it was focused on homelessness and youth and mentorship and education and foster youth. So I learned a lot through that. And then I transitioned. I've done it all, from, you know, assistant programs manager to development fundraising, and now I'm the communications director.
And that comes from your just your nature of just being a giver type person?
Yes, I think so. You enjoy it. I mean, you truly enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this to you, people, whenever, you know, you might see someone who's experiencing homelessness out on the street and you ask the question why, I always say, you know, just take a time, you know, just take a break and get to know that person. You don't know what that person's been through. But that's a whole different interview. But full circle Latinitas. I mean, I've been a long-time volunteer, ambassador, you know, master of ceremonies at many of their fundraising events, and this opportunity came up and I just thought it was full circle. You know why? Because now I feel that my career makes more sense. I'm doing communications for Latinitas on top of a lot of different things, and it's an organization that empowers girls and non-binary students through media and technology. Then, you know, Telemundo Austin, you know, Acceso Total, that's my segment, entertainment segments on Telemundo, and then Farándula Texas, that's an everyday for me. So it's juggling all three. At times I don't know how I do it, but then it's just the fire on me that I enjoy. Sometimes, I mean, I'm getting to that point, you know, and perhaps this is a good conversation and you'll help me. You guys, you know, Latin Talks perhaps will help me to get there, just because sometimes you love so many things, but at the times you're experiencing burnout, you know, and and it's a process. But Latinitas, we have a podcast, we have a magazine, after-school programs, clubs. It's been a beautiful experience.
But I'm sure you acquired so much experience by being involved in so many different things, and maybe you're realizing that maybe laser focusing on the one thing is where you create the most impact. But everything that you did sort of got you ready to where you are now, right? It's like,
of course.
I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so would you change anything from the past necessarily? Because I'm a big believer that whatever you went through sort of gets you to where you are
I would
right
change
now?
the partners that I had throughout each journey. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
It gave you some experience for sure, but yeah, well, I think we all
I'm
have things we
joking.
can look back
I'm joking. No, of course. I mean, sometimes I wish that perhaps back in my 20s, we would be experiencing, you know how right now it's all about empowerment and women, which I love. But then, 14 years ago it wasn't like that. Latino was not hot 14 years ago. Now Latinos, we're seeing where, it's this battle.
Sure. Fastest segment, growing demographic.
And at times I would not change. I mean, if I could go back, there's little things, but I think that the universe and God put me through each experience to learn something. And sometimes a really difficult challenge tends to be the best experience. Mm-hmm. So thanks to all those challenges, I'm here now chatting with you, and it's been great. It's been great now just to live life and being able to do the things that I love, knowing that it's hard work, knowing that social media, it's, you see the best of us on social media. You don't know how early we wake up and, all the stresses and all of that. But I just know that once you love something, just go for it. Just don't be afraid. Jump. That's my advice.
Okay. I do want to take the opportunity to ask you for some sort of a message for women, especially I think nowadays for them to really go out there and conquer whatever it is that they want to do. You being a successful woman, a leader in your home, full of women, like you were saying, is there something that you would want to take the opportunity to kind of share to women?
Yes. I mean, of course, the first one is for them not to be afraid. I'm all about autoestima, self-esteem, You have to believe in yourself, Nobody can tell you no. And once you believe that, you're a force. And that's the message that I even give to my, to the people that I work at Latinitas, as a staff, the millennials. It's like, you're powerful. And just know that every single woman is powerful, and we're just unique in our own way. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me no. So don't let anybody tell you no.
Yeah. I've never said that before. This is your interview, not me, but I couldn't stop thinking of something that I have never mentioned before. But still, if I'm going to walk into a very dark place, my mind still takes me into it may be a mantra or not. Mm-hmm. The reason I say that is because they say, the brave are those who step into a dark area or something, the unknown, even in spite of fear. It's not being fearful, and so that's what I also get from what you're saying, right? Yes. It's like, hey, it's okay to be afraid.
Yes.
Just go.
It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be you. My sister jokes with me. She's like, I cannot believe you sometimes. You're Farándula, Texas, and at time I can see you with chanclas in an interview or with this. And I'm like, it's me. It's my essence. It's who I am. And I think that's the beauty of it. I think who's going to like you, they're going to like you for who you are. And as long as you're happy and you share that you're happy, as long as you bring joy, you're going to be okay. You're not going to make everyone happy, but it's about you. And I think I've learned that throughout the years, Mauricio. I would focus so much on what others thought of me, if they were happy. And I'm like, what about me? So now I think realizing that, of course, it doesn't happen right away. It's a process, but when it happens and you realize it, it's beautiful. You feel like you're nonstop.
Awesome. Wait. Well, let's high five to that. Okay, the other one. So there you have it, guys. Salwa, por favor, síganla. Estoy seguro que se llevaron más de una pepita de oro. You got a lot of golden nuggets. We're going to put her social media handles around this video. And if you got value out of this, make sure to subscribe and share. And don't forget to follow us for the upcoming interviews that we'll be having here. Have a great one. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Espero que hayan disfrutado esta entrevista con Salwa. La verdad que con cada una de estas personas que entrevistamos siempre hay mucho que aprender. ¿Qué tanto pudiera agregar en esta entrevista? La verdad, la importancia de la mentoría, de siempre buscar personas que hayan vivido más que uno, porque, vuelvo y repito, nadie puede expandir su propia visión por muy inteligente que se crea, así que la gente que sabe entiende que hay que someterse a personas que tienen más conocimiento. Y ahí la palabra de mentor. Mentor es alguien que ya recorrió el camino, que te puede dar una mejor guía, es la mejor manera más rápida de aprender pues casi cualquier cosa. Lo bonito es que hoy puedes tener un mentor casi en cualquier campo que uno se quisiera desarrollar, pues ya han habido seguramente personas que han logrado grandes éxitos en lo que sea que estemos nosotros buscando. Y pues bueno, yo creo que lo podríamos resumir a eso, la importancia de tener mentores y que esa es la manera más rápida de llegar a donde queremos. No quiero cerrar el programa el día de hoy sin invitarlos a que se den la oportunidad de visitar nuestro sitio web, que es garciamauricio.com, porque allí pueden servirse de mucha buena información y aparte lo que hemos venido ofreciendo desde las últimas 2 décadas es una segunda opinión. ¿Segunda opinión de qué? De lo que puedan estar haciendo con su patrimonio y con sus finanzas. Porque mientras estamos distraídos, el valor de nuestro patrimonio se está erosionando. La inflación se lleva siempre un pedazo y nos roba calidad de vida. Y le roba obviamente vida también al dinero. Los impuestos es algo que tenemos que aprender a mitigar. Si es cierto que hay 2 cosas seguras en la vida, que una es la muerte y la otra pagar impuestos, bueno, me doy cuenta que la mayoría de las personas van por la vida a lo mejor pagando más de lo que tuvieran que pagar, porque no están aprovechando todos los, vamos a decirlo, oportunidades de deducciones que pueden usar tanto en el fondeo de cualquier plan financiero como en el crecimiento del mismo, como a la hora de disfrutar lo que hayan acumulado. Entonces la parte fiscal es vital y obviamente todo mundo que está buscando crecer un patrimonio gravita a ciertas inversiones, algunos a bienes raíces, otros a la bolsa de valores, algunos a commodities, piedras preciosas, su propio negocio en diferentes cosas, y no viene sin riesgo, sin volatilidad. Entonces me gustaría poderles presentar las alternativas que existen para poder tener crecimiento sin experimentar minusvalías, para que se vuelva más real el concepto de lo que hablaba Albert Einstein, que era la 8ª maravilla del mundo, que era el poder del interés compuesto, que se vuelve una realidad solo cuando no experimentas minusvalías en lo que estés creciendo. Y al final es como esa combinación de mitigar inflación, impuestos, volatilidad y otras cosas, le dan más vida a tu dinero y te proporcionan con una mayor probabilidad de poder estar, quién sabe, 2 o hasta 3 décadas en la etapa del retiro, cuando decidas que eso sea, disfrutando de lo que tus activos te generan, en lugar de tú tener que siempre estar trabajando hasta la muerte por mantener nivel de vida. Porque siendo realistas, eventualmente perdemos hasta esa movilidad, y si no estamos preparados no va a quedar otra más que depender de caridad o de nuestros hijos, nietos, y yo sé que eso no es una posición cómoda para nadie. Entonces los invito a que vayan a garciamauricio.com, le den clic al botoncito que dice consulta 1 a 1 y vamos teniendo una charla por un medio digital como es Zoom o cualquiera de estas plataformas donde podemos vernos, escucharnos, y les puedo mostrar esa alternativa que puede agregar mucho valor a la vida de cada uno de los que nos están viendo y los que nos van a ver después de que esta transmisión termine. Gracias, como digo siempre, por la oportunidad. Cuídense y nos vemos en la próxima entrevista. Que estén bien. Chao, chao.